Okay, welcome back to Clout 941, and we're here with guest Nathan Lee. Nathan, thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we want to ask you a lot of questions because you got a lot of things going on. Just to familiarize our audience a little bit with the viewers, Nathan's wife, Denise, was abducted and murdered by a monster named Michael King, and his case is still going on, his criminal case, but there are a lot of issues have cropped up as a result of that case, and hopefully some good can come out of it and some lives can be saved in the future as a result. Before I get to that, though, I want to ask you a little bit about Denise. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about her?
Denise was, an amazing person. I mean, it's hard to think about, everything was great. I mean, she was, a happy person, very positive, selfless. She did everything for others. An amazing mom, amazing wife. Couldn't have, really picked a better person to, spend the rest of my life with. And,
How old were you when you met?
She was 17 and I was 19, and we were married 2.5 years. And we had our first son Noah when she was 18. We kind of got right to it and started pretty early. But you can't think of a bad thing about her. I mean, you think back, and you try to think, well, what did she ever do that was bad or wrong, and you can't think of one. And but she got our kids started off in the perfect direction, and I'm just trying to use all the things she taught me in order to continue off where she left off. So
you're a young dad here with 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, tell us about your family situation now. How's that going?
Well, the family situation is great.
Getting a lot of support?
Yeah, I mean, endless amounts of support. My parents have been amazing with helping me. I'm still trying to support my family and work. And, Rick and Sue, Denise's parents, have been great. And the grandparents are definitely seeing plenty of the boys. But, we really rallied together as a family, and the community rallied together. I don't know how many people have offered to babysit. The list is pretty long, but we're really doing good. We're really doing our best to, do what Denise would want us to do, and that's move along in a positive direction, and just try to make this, her death to be not in vain. And that's, so far we're doing a pretty good job.
Let's get to that. One of the issues in the case was after she was abducted, she was, I guess, in the back of the car of this guy. And there was a woman behind that car who called 911. Can you fill us in a little bit about the call itself?
Well, there was numerous 911 calls that night, and pretty much all of them went well. They went the way they were supposed to. I called, Denise called herself. But that particular call that wasn't handled properly, there was a woman named Jane Kowalski who was a bystander at a stoplight. And saw and heard the screaming at a stoplight, and proceeded off and knew something was wrong right away, called 911, gave cross streets as they were driving down the road. Denise and the person that took her actually got behind her, so she couldn't get a license plate, but she was telling them what was going on, and they put the pieces together and knew it was Denise as far as the dispatchers go and the call taker, but nothing, they never sent that call out.
So the person who took the call, they already knew that Denise had been abducted.
I don't think it was, they didn't think it was a coincidence that there was a Camaro, whether they said blue or black or gray, that had a screaming girl in it, that didn't seem right. So they put that together right away.
And so they knew that it had to have been her.
Mm-hmm.
And were there any patrol vehicles, were there any police vehicles in that area at that time?
Yeah, there was, I don't want to say the exact number because I've heard different things, but the IA report that they did, Charlotte County did, states how many cars. I think there were 3 to 4 or even 5 cars within a square mile radius of where she was. And supposedly, hearing from deputies that have talked to us as a family, said that they were on the same road as that she was on, and they must have driven right by.
Unbelievable.
But they were never, no bolos were sent out, which are the be on the lookouts. They weren't sent out in the right time frame, and they didn't know what they were looking for until a certain time.
So if the call from this woman, Miss Kowalski, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
If that had actually gone out to the patrol officers, the officers felt they could have saved Denise.
And I think everybody does. It's for 3.5 minutes, Jane Kowalski was right in front of Denise. and giving exact cross streets, staying calm. You could understand every word she said. She did everything perfectly. And just basically the call taker didn't follow the proper procedures, didn't do what she was supposed to do.
What happened?
Well, I'm not a 911 operator or dispatcher, but from my, going through this, I've kind of studied up on it a little bit. And you have a CAD system, which is a computer system that, when you get a call like that, you type information in the computer and it gets sent automatically, electronically to the dispatchers in the same room. And when that happens, they get on the radio and dispatch the patrol units to that particular emergency, and that never happened.
Wow.
She wrote it on a piece of paper and was shouting across the room. One of the dispatchers was currently dispatching a call at that time already,
and didn't hear it.
That they didn't. There was an operator or a dispatcher that had a computer, but she didn't think it worked, and it did. She could have dispatched it, but she didn't. So, it was just an awful situation. Mistakes happen, but when you break it down and you look at, what went wrong, and, it's just a shame. So.
When did you find out that this had happened, that call had come in? I mean, how did you find out?
Rick found out first, my father-in-law. He found out at the mall.
Because was he a deputy sheriff at the time?
He works at the same sheriff's office. He's been there for 25 years.
He found out at the mall?
Yeah, a couple of the higher-ups in the sheriff's office called him the day of the viewing and told him they needed to talk to him. And he said he was at the mall buying a suit, and they met him there in the food court and told him what happened.
So they come to you. They come to your father-in-law in the mall food court and tell him that they screwed up.
Yep. And they asked Rick to keep it from us, before the viewing. They didn't want us to know right away, so we wouldn't, be more upset than we already were. It was just an awful situation all around, and he felt extremely betrayed. And then the way it was handled afterwards. And I hate to keep talking negatively about it, but it's just, the citizens of Charlotte County deserve better, and they deserve to have people there, and most of them are, but they deserve to have some people there in their higher-ups, including the sheriff, that have, a little more integrity than they have, and hopefully, hopefully with, the potential lawsuit that I have, that'll start bringing some things to light.
Okay, we're going to talk about that when we come back from our first break. This is an unbelievable story, and we're going to get more into what's going to be done about this in the future when we come back.